Well, according to a recent study at the University of Colorado, the number of words a child understands is far more important than the number of words a child may necessarily utter. If you've got young people at home and you're concerned about their development, well, we've got some interesting information for you. Dr. Stephen Reznick is with us. He is now at Yale University, and developmental skills are something that you've been focusing on, cognitive, motor, and so forth. These are focused on twins that you've done, I guess, for control study purposes. Is that right?
Well, the advantage of studying twins is that you can compare identical twins with fraternal twins.
Right.
Identical twins share 100% of their genetic heritage. Fraternal twins share half, but both sets of twins share environment. So you can look at the comparison of twins to try to separate influences of environment and influences of genetics.
All right, many parents are very concerned that their children aren't speaking volumes by the time they're a year and a half old. Should they be worried?
They should take it seriously, but what many parents fail to realize is that during the second year, language is what children say, but language is also what children understand. And what children say is really the tip of the iceberg. In normally developing children, they'll be able to say maybe a tenth of the number of words that they know. So when you see a child who's developing language slowly, there's an important distinction as to whether they're developing talking slowly or whether they're developing understanding slowly.
Okay.
All right, yes. At what age? Is it 18 months? Do you think that a child should be speaking somewhat? Because many kids can go as late as 3 and really not say a lot.
Most children pick up their first words late in the first year, and by the second birthday, most children are saying 2-word combinations, and then goes greater from there. But what's more important is that by the first birthday, children should begin to be understanding things like, where's your foot and where's the dog? And by 2 years, they should have a vast comprehension vocabulary.
So it's more a problem if they're not comprehending. If you're able to deduct that they're just not comprehending what you're saying versus responding verbally to what you're saying.
Absolutely, and that's a situation that should evoke more concern from parents. And what our results show, one of our analyses, is that if you look at 1-year-olds and you see how much they're understanding and how much they're producing language, the best predictor of their later development is how much they're understanding, not how much they're saying.
All right, now certainly some of the problems may be with hearing. If they're not understanding after a year, year and a half, something like that, clearly there could be some physical problems that need to be
that could
attended
affect
to.
either.
Right.
And if a child has problems with language and that's reported to a pediatrician, most pediatricians, the first thing that they will check will be the hearing, because language is something we pick up from the environment. And if we're impaired in our hearing, and a lot of children who have frequent ear infections have fluid in their ears almost all the time, which is affecting their hearing. So it's certainly something the pediatrician would want to look at.
Do children that are spoken to a lot speak more than children that have a fairly quiet household and the parents don't communicate as much verbally to them?
Children who are spoken to speak more, but you have to consider that there's 2 ways that could happen. The way it's normally interpreted is, well, the environment is providing this language, and so children are speaking more. But when we compare twins, we find that for how much a child speaks, of course there's environmental influence, but there's also a very strong genetic influence. So when you see a child in a home where the parents don't speak much, not only is the child hearing less language, but also whatever it is that makes that parent speak less, that child might have inherited that same sort of thing, a personality, temperament towards quietness.
What an interesting survey. Must be wonderful working with these young people and coming up with this information. We're so glad to have you share some of it, the slightest bit of it with us today.
Thank you very much for having me on
Enjoyed
the
it.
show.
Interesting.
Dr. Stephen Reznick of Yale. And we've got some more coming up for you in just a couple of moments.